Hi, my name is Karn, and I'm a civil engineering major.
I'm Anthony. I'm an aerospace engineer.
And I'm Lope. I'm also a civil engineering major.
Let me introduce to you our main menu page. This is the page that players will first be at when they start playing our game. The page features a welcoming background along with four options for the players: the two-player option, online option, rules, and scoring system. Here, let's say a player first wants to understand the rules of our game. He'll click the rules button and he'll be greeted with this page right here. This explains the rules of our Farkle game and how it works. After this, the player can go to the scoring system button. They'll click here, and this is like a basic scoring outline of how we score our Farkle games. It features special things such as six of a kind, five of a kind, vision bonus points. It also explains our penalty system and how that works. After this, the player can click on the online or two-player button to go into the desired game mode.
We'll start with the online mode first to show you this demonstration.
Okay, I will now quickly demonstrate online mode. So first, we're going to input your names into both fields. Then once both players have put their names in, they can both select start. Whoever's player 1 will be able to roll, while player 2 will not be able to roll. So once player 1 rolls, they can select their dice, and they can cash out. Once they cash out, the data will be sent over to player 2, which will show up here. As you can see, the data came in, and this is their dice combo and their turn number. Now player 2 can roll, it's been activated, and it says it's their turn. We will now select these. We don't want to win yet, so we're not going to do that. And then we'll cut back to when the penalty happens so we can see what occurs. So as you can see here, we roll the penalty, 3 and 6. We lose 50 points. The data gets transferred over to the other player. As you can see, 36. So what we roll. Now we can roll here. And then win the game. We get 100 more points. This player will win. The other person will not be able to continue. Then the person on the screen can then select either main menu or play again. We're going to select main menu for the purpose of this. And that's the end of the online demo.
I will go through the offline mode. This is for offline, so it's two players on the same computer. So player 1 would enter their name, as well as player 2. You can see here that it is player 1's turn, Apple. We're going to roll the dice, and then it rolls the dice with the dice animation as well as the dice sound. Select some dice, roll again, and we could select more. And then we can press cash out. And then it updates. And it's player 2's turn. So player 2 is banana. There you go. Roll dice. Select the dice that we want. We're not going to select that many because I don't want to win yet. I want to show a penalty. Now it's Apple's turn. Player 1. Alright, we're going to try selecting these three. And then we get only three threes. We get minus 200. We lose all of our points. And it updates the player combinations. Alright, let's try to win. Oh, there we go. We won. Let's go. 2. There we go.
Okay, so up next, I'll show the code aspect of our main menu page. This is very simple. I'll go over it quick. First off, I want to show you guys that when someone opens up the page, right, the first thing, the startup function on the page is to play the background music in the background. This is the code that we use for that music, and it continuously plays the music on a loop, so the player constantly has the music. In the initial video that I showed you previously, we had the music at a very low volume, so you can hear me talk. However, the player will be able to hear this music. Next up, we showed the I'm Show feature to display buttons 3 and 4. These buttons were the buttons that I clicked and it opened up the scoring page, also the rules page. We use these two functions right here to incorporate that design into our main menu page. Lastly, I want to talk about the two-player button and the online button. How that feature work is these are the codes that we use. This code right here, when the button is clicked, it will close that page, our main menu page, and open up the offline page, or right here where it opened up the online page. Thank you. This is our code for the main menu page.
Okay, so now we're going to be covering the online code, which is basically the same as for offline, except with more steps. Okay, so now first we initialize the images, the highlighted and the unhighlighted ones, and then we also have the dice values, the number of times the dice has been rolled, the turn number, as well as the names of the players, and their scores, the score to win, the music and stuff like that, as well as the thing speak stuff. Okay, so on startup, player number 1, we initialize player numbers and the other players' numbers. So we're going to go over here. So if the edit field for player 1 is edited, then that player becomes player number 1, and then it disables player 2 and that player also as well. And then it says that their name has been changed, and then this enables the start button, and then this player he becomes player 1, and the other player becomes player 2. If they edit player 2 field, then that player becomes player 2, and the other player becomes player 1. For the start button, it checks if the names have been changed. If they have, if at least one has been changed, then it disables, and the button has been pushed, then it disables the button, and then the roll dice is enabled for player 1 and not for player 2. Okay, so for the roll dice button, first we play the sound of the dice rolling, and then it disables the button, and then we do the dice roll animation, which we can see right here. And it rolls it 4 times in spans of like 0.4 seconds, and checks first if it's not highlighted or not selected, and then it rolls through random images of the dice. Okay, after doing that, it then rolls the dice, which is right here. So it checks if it's not highlighted, and then it chooses a random value 1 through 6, and then it chooses the image based off of the value of the dice, and it's repeated for all 6 dice on the board. After that, we check how many times the dice has been rolled. So after pressing it once, it increases 1 time, so they pressed it 1 time. If it's 1 time, then it just disables for 0.5 seconds and then re-enables. If it's 2 times, then it just disables because we only want the player to roll the dice only twice. Okay, for the cash out button, we can see here, sound is played, the cash out sound is played, and then it checks if it's player 1 or player 2. If it's player 1, it increases the turn number by 1, and then it also updates player 1's score, and then it resets the possible points. It also turns the turn number into a string, and this is the same for player 2, except with player 2 stuff. And then we disable the turn label, and then we disable the game buttons, which are the roll dice and the cash out button. And then we switch the turn. The switch turn function is right here, which calls on new turn, which basically just resets the values of the dice and the images, as well as the times the dice has been rolled. After doing that, it calls on the send turn data function and the wait for other player function. So right here, it turns the data into a string. So right here, my player num, turn number is the roll combination, player 1 score, player 2 score, and then it writes it into the ThinkSpeak channel. And then after that, it launches wait for other player. And then while the player sent message is not equal to the other player, it reads the data, and then it turns it basically into an array. And then that array, we can read it, and then we can update the table and the scores.
Okay, this part of the code initializes the data table that will be inputted onto both player 1 and 2 screen. It indexes the player's turn, and then also their initial dice, not their initial, their selected dice roll value that they cash out, and then each player will be able to see the other person's rolls. Then here the roll dice button gets enabled, and the turn label also becomes visible. If it is player 1's turn, then player 2's score will be put into a string. If it's player 2's turn, then player 1's score will be put into a string. Now we'll go to update possible points. This is a timer that constantly updates the points that you can receive from selected dice. It updates every 0.5 seconds, and then it goes to the next function, update point check, which initially sets the app score to 0, and then puts all the rolls into a single array. And then we initialize the roll penalties to get initial roll values, and then it calls the penalty function. The penalty function has 2 different values, penalty 3s, penalty 6s, which gets the length of 3s and 6s in the array. And if you get 3 6s and it's your player 1's turn, then the app turn number will increase by 1, and the player's score will be subtracted by 400. It'll display that you rolled 3 6s and lost 400. Our penalty sound will play, and the total rolls will be displayed as 666, so then that data can be sent over through ThinkSpeak using these functions again. And then all the penalties are basically the same for everything. Now we'll go to the scoring. So here, we initialize 1 through 6 is the length of 1 through 6 in the array, and then we put them in these combos, which is our first one is straight, which is basically there's one of each is a straight. If there's a pair of 3, this is when all rolls are selected, and there's 3 pairs of 2, which we do through the OR function. And then we begin giving points out. Pairs of 3s and the straights have to be set to false if you roll the 2 of a kind or just a singular 1 or 2. So that's what this code is doing, and then just adding scores onto app score. Then we just have 6 of a kind, 5 of a kind, 4 of a kind. These are all basically the same, just if there's 6 of the same, 5 of the same, or 4 of the same. And that's the rest of our coding for the scoring. And then our possible points gets displayed here, and then it checks if the sum of the rolls is greater than 1, then our cash out is on. And if it's anything else, then our cash out button is turned off.
Also, so for selecting the dice, we have right here. So if the dice is currently not highlighted, then it basically changes it so that it is highlighted. And then if it's not highlighted, if it is highlighted already, then it will turn not highlighted if it's clicked. So yeah, that is repeated for all of the dice. And then also here is our object-oriented programming, which we use to debug the code. This is used when we send the roll combination to the other player, and it displays it so that we know if it's going through or not. Okay, so when the switch turn function happens, and if if either player has the score to win or more than that or equal to, then it basically removes all of the buttons, and it displays the name of the winner, as well as their a trophy. and it also plays a winner song.
So these buttons are fairly simple. You once the game ends, they'll be enabled. So the play again button will just reopen the app and then delete the old one. The main menu button will open the main menu, delete the old app, and then our how to play button will just open a different app called how to play. And that's basically it for our project. Thank you for listening, and we had a great time doing this project.